In the last year, we have run a project that now it becomes to be a reality. In the field of the hematological malignancies, we started 5 years ago a project trying to cover all the possible angles about the hematological malignancies, starting from patients and finishing in patients, and covering all the stakeholders involved in the field. At that time, we named it the project Harmony, and in the last days, in the last month, this project has also gained another disease, and now Harmony and Harmony Plus are covering all hematological malignancies. That's a critical point because now we are on the way to be able to collect any kind of data, of important data, of high quality level data coming from the patient, and trying to do with this data any kind of approach based on the big data model, on the machine learning methodologies, trying to improve the quantity and the quantity of life of the patient. In this last year, we have been able to collect over 40,000 cases in our secure and without any kind of precedent platform that this is now named Harmony Platform, and that is working as a data lake in which we can analyze any kind of feature regarding acute and chronic leukemias, non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and now also chronic myeloproliferative disorders. And this is a very important point because it is the first time in which this kind of effort has been made in the medical community. In that way, all hematologists, all patients suffering hematological malignancies, all the industry involved in the development of new drugs, new good drugs to manage this patient and to treat this patient are able and are interconnected with one single voice named Harmony. And you have made a great effort to support us in this unbelievable work, this unbelievable project in which we are now working and we are planning to work in the next year. Because Harmony will have a continuation in Harmony Plus and in other ways in which we can be able to find the best solution for our patients. I want to thank all the people involved in this project. I want to thank all of these more than 100 institutions, over 400 specialists in the field, and I would like to forget the regulatory agencies here, the HTA bodies, the policymakers, but also I want to make my point here in the role of the patient and also in the role of all of you working as hematologists, working in this new philosophy that is the data sharing, in which we will be able to improve all the health of our patients. Our final goal is to provide the best quality, the best or the large quantity of life for our patients, and to get the full cure of these terrible diseases. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for supporting Harmony, and we will go and we will continue in this marvelous adventure that we initiated 5 years ago. .
Dear HA 2021 attendees, dear colleagues, this is Guillermo Sanz. I am a hematologist working at Hospital La Fe in Valencia, and my main fields of interest are myelodysplastic syndromes, acute leukemias, and hematopoietic cell transplantation. Today, as co-chair of the Harmony and Harmony Plus alliances for patients with hematological malignancies, I would like to share with you the main aims of those projects and to ask you and your institution to become involved in them. Hematological malignancies are rare disorders with poor outcomes in many instances. Our patients deserve a better future that only can be achieved by using precision and personalized medicine. We believe that the use of big real-world data and artificial intelligence in a multinational collaborative effort is essential for improving their outcomes. Harmony and Harmony Plus are very large public-private partnership alliances involving all stakeholders in the management of patients with hematological malignancies. They include excellent academic institutions and national registries, the EHA, the EBMT, and other European cancer associations, big pharmaceutical companies, patients associations, regulatory and healthcare technology assessment bodies, technological enterprises, and payers. The common goal of our partnership is to speed up the availability of new, more efficient and less toxic drugs for our patients, to develop new surrogate endpoints and clinical trial designs that cope with the current and future needs that precision medicine demands, focusing especially on the role of omics data, and in the end, to cut down the price of new drugs and help to improve the sustainability of healthcare systems in the European Union, and also to answer to the demands that our patients have. For this purpose, we are also establishing fruitful links with the European Medicines Agency to let them use our high-quality big data database for evaluating the approval of new potentially useful therapies. Harmony Plus is the continuum of Harmony Alliance. The project has expanded the initial Harmony focus to all hematological malignancies, and one of its main objectives is aimed to use real-world data in the big data platform as a potential control arm for comparing the potential benefit of any new drug to the standard of care for that particular malignant hematological disorder. If its use as control arm is to be approved by the EMA, this procedure would avoid the need for randomized trials in many instances, ease their conduction, shorten the cost of the trial, fastening the availability and reducing the cost of new therapies for our patients, which are at the center of Harmony and Harmony Plus policy. Thus, I am asking you to become personally and institutionally involved by including the data of your patients in our database in this open effort for improving as soon and much as possible the long-term outcome of patients with hematological malignancies. No more, no less. I truly believe that this is a great win-win project that should not be dismissed. And I stop here, waiting for your collaboration. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Hello, my name is Lars Pullinger. I'm the medical director of the Department of Hematology, Oncology, and Tumor Immunology at the Charité University of Medicine in Berlin. And it's my great pleasure to talk to you on behalf of the Harmony Alliance, where I'm coordinating the work package 2. And I'm happy to talk to you today or briefly present some of the, in my opinion, very fascinating projects that are ongoing and that will in the future shape the way how we deal with patients who have hematologic malignancies. In brief, after we had built up the Harmony platform, which is a big data platform that unites almost all European countries, we have academic partners, industry partners who put the data together to learn more about the disease and to use the power of these large data sets to capture the heterogeneity of the disease. So this by itself is already a very fascinating achievement. Also, that all these stakeholder groups, academic persons, general hospitals, FBR members, that's industry, but also regulatory bodies, as well as, of course, patients, patient advocates contribute to the project on an international basis in Europe. I think this is a success story by itself. But now we are starting to really use the data that has entered the database. We run several interesting projects, as I had mentioned. And if you're interested and want to learn more about these projects, you're welcome to visit our homepage, harmony-alliance.eu/projects. There you can find detailed information on all of them. But first, I will share some of the results with you, which we have recently achieved on the acute myeloid leukemia project, which was the pilot project, as the first data set to enter the Harmony Alliance was coming from profiling of acute myeloid leukemia cases. So one of the success stories is that we currently do already have over 7,000 data sets on AML in the Harmony database. There is many more in the pipeline, so we really hope that by the end of the year we have achieved our goal to have at least 10,000 leukemia data sets. We are now using the tools which we have implemented in the platform to mine the data thoroughly. We can use this to better capture gene-gene interactions that are important for clinical decision-making. For example, we can identify markers that predict response or relapse to chemotherapy or to allogeneic transplantation. Furthermore, we are also using the data to develop sophisticated machine learning algorithms, artificial intelligence-based methods to predict patient outcome on an individual basis. And we are pretty confident that the results from that project will contribute to better patient management in the future. Based on those achievements, we have now started many side projects, if you wish. We are, for example, now using the large database to specifically look at patients who have acquired their leukemia on the basis of a preceding myelodysplastic syndrome. We are studying the impact of age or gender, for example. And we, of course, also have now the power to look at specific sub-entities. And recently we, for example, embarked on a project where we study acute promyelocytic leukemia. That's a rare subtype of leukemia, which can be treated very well. But nevertheless, some of the patients relapse. We do not understand that very well yet. And there we really need the power of these large data sets that are collected across all the countries in Europe. And finally, with regard to AML, we are now also looking at the relevance of how well we control the disease. That means we focus our projects also on the data which we are going to collect on measurable residual disease, which is becoming more and more important, especially as we now have these targeted therapies, such as the recently approved kinase inhibitors at hand. And we do also collect data, for example, on AML patients that are treated with midostaurin. But of course, there is many more diseases in Harmony. So there is ongoing projects now also on myelodysplastic syndrome, where we want to study the impact of hypomethylating agents, for example. There is very challenging projects ongoing in acute lymphocytic leukemia, where we closely work together in the platform for diseases, for leukemias coming from adults and children, as ALL is much more common in young adults and children. And there, led by Tony Moorman, we have a very interesting project that focuses on outcome-associated markers in ALL, genes such as, for example, IKZF1, an important transcription factor in the disease. But we are, of course, then also focusing on specificities that, for example, have to do with age. And we, of course, also focus in that patient cohort, especially on the relapsed refractory patients. And then to end with one more success story, I briefly want to mention the myeloma project, which is led by an outstanding collaborative group who were able to use data coming from Europe to optimize the current prognostication in multiple myeloma and to allow thereby for a more personalized treatment of that very relevant disease. And in the end, of course, I also want to mention the other diseases which are part of Harmony. We have projects ongoing for non-Hodgkin lymphoma and also for CLL, where also first results were recently published and will be presented at the upcoming EHA meeting. And with this, I'm at the end. I hope I could convince you that Harmony is a very good project to be part of. You're all welcome to participate, and hopefully we can present you many more interesting projects and results from Harmony in the future. Thank you very much.
So what is the role of a patient organization in a project such as Harmony? So patient organizations are involved in projects like Harmony for one particular reason, and that is to represent patients and to ensure that the experiences, the preferences, the needs, the wants, the challenges, and also the fears of people living with a disease such as myeloma or AL amyloidosis are at the core of any conducted research within a project like Harmony. And as I mentioned before, patients provide a unique and likely the most important perspective on their own disease. And that's why it is crucial that their perspective has a significant impact on future care and research. And so in a project like Harmony, it is vital that these perspectives are incorporated throughout the project to ensure these outcomes are truly patient-focused. And so with our involvement as MPE, what we want to do is to make sure that whenever a trial in myeloma or in AL amyloidosis is conducted, this research results are not only meaningful to researchers, but also to patients. And for this, we need to be involved, from the very beginning and throughout the whole process in every step of research. And so this is not only about empowering patients which is these fancy term that is used a lot nowadays. And it's also not about ticking the patient involvement box. It is proven that meaningful patient involvement enhances the quality of research, and it really helps with the development of innovative healthcare solutions. However, what we do see is that there's still a long way to go, especially given that the clinical community is not really used to working with a knowledgeable patient community, on equal eye level. But we're getting there. So why is it so important for patients and patient organizations to be involved in research? So the primary goal of research should be to really deliver on patients' unmet needs and to find solutions for patients where there aren't any. Unfortunately, that isn't always the case. And the thing is that patients may have very different perspectives from clinicians on what is really important for them. Whereas the clinician perspective is usually very focused on more clinically relevant outcomes, some patients might prefer to, for example, live better than living longer. Another thing to be taken into account is that not every patient will have identical needs or preferences. These preferences will vary greatly from one disease to another. That is very obvious, but also within one disease, depending on factors such as age, the stage of the disease, the country or the region where the patient lives, the social environment, lifestyle factors or choices. There are so many emotional, financial, and social factors that might influence patient perspectives. The issue is that these are very often either disregarded or misinterpreted by other stakeholders, including researchers and clinicians. And that's where patient organizations really come in. They play an important role in connecting patients and researchers. And the Harmony platform has proven to be a great vehicle to facilitate bringing these two together in a much more coordinated and meaningful way. Another reason for us to be in here is that big data has a huge potential to develop predictors for risk and for treatment success. A very good example of this is that it can help avoid overtreatment or undertreatment for myeloma and AL amyloidosis patients. And so one of our most important roles in Harmony is to influence, or if you like, to help researchers shape their research towards the true needs of myeloma and AL amyloidosis patients, and not only towards research interests or purely clinical needs. And for all these reasons, it is so important for patient organizations such as MPE to be involved in projects like Harmony.
Hello, my name is Anthony Mormon and I work at Newcastle University. I am also one of the key opinion leaders within the Harmony Alliance with responsibility for childhood malignancies and also acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So accelerating blood cancer research is one of the common themes that many of us have within the European Hematology Association. And one of the critical components for accelerating blood cancer research to improve the outcome of patients with these diseases is to have robust evidence. This can be robust evidence for the effectiveness of a particular drug or therapeutic strategy. It could be robust evidence for the utility of a biomarker to risk stratify patients, or indeed robust evidence for the involvement of a particular gene or pathway within a particular disease. Overall, this kind of robust evidence is absolutely essential to all our research, particularly if we want to take it forward from the bench into the clinical setting. Over the past 15 to 20 years, genetic and genomic analysis of hematological malignancies have revealed that actually we're not dealing with a few dozen diseases, but we're actually dealing with well over 100, possibly over 150 diseases. And therefore, having some kind of data sharing policy in order to pool together data on patients with relatively rare genetic subtypes has become commonplace in research. And if you look at the literature these days, many of the papers will involve sharing data from either one or more studies, one or more clinical trials, and this occurs within countries and of course cross borders. There are very few clinical protocols now that will not use some form of genetics or risk factors to assign patients to different therapeutic pathways, and therefore building up the evidence from these kind of data sharing projects in order to get robust evidence is absolutely crucial to all our research. What HARMONY does is it provides a new and more formal and more secure way of doing that kind of data sharing to improve blood cancer research across all the different types of blood cancer and indeed all different types of data. So there are two key elements to HARMONY. One is it provides a very secure platform, and obviously having all our patient data on secure platforms is absolutely crucial, not just to comply with the legal obligations of GDPR, etc., but also to give the confidence to the patients and indeed the researchers and the clinicians that the data that they have either provided as patients or have curated as researchers and clinicians are being treated securely and will not be used by people that they don't know have robust access to it. So another common element of HARMONY and all data sharing projects is in order to ensure that the data can be analysed across different data sets. And here HARMONY is using a common data model so that all the data sets that come into HARMONY will be mapped to this common data model, ensuring that analysis can be robust across multiple different data sets. So that both the security and the common data model are absolutely key elements to HARMONY. There are, of course, lots of other benefits to HARMONY, but they are the two key ones from a kind of researcher's perspective. Although HARMONY has now collected tens of thousands of data sets, and there's a lot of very interesting analysis that is ongoing and is already producing output which has been presented at previous meetings and also indeed at this meeting, it should be emphasized that HARMONY is not a one-off data sharing model, and really what needs to happen is data sharing needs to become the default pathway and the natural end of all studies involving hematological malignancies, whether it be they laboratory studies, registries or clinical trials. And why do we need HARMONY to go on and collect data sharing? Well, at the moment we have our current list of priorities which are based on the key clinical and scientific issues that we are all facing in our different disease subtypes. But as these questions are answered, our list of priorities will change, and therefore we constantly need to have new and contemporary data from all hematological malignancies and all different types of data in order to tackle the challenges that we will be facing in 3, 4, 5 years' time. And they will be different, obviously. So we need to ensure that in 5 years' time we have contemporary data to analyse from across all of the hematological malignancies. So I hope that this has given you a flavour of some of the advantages of HARMONY in terms of data sharing. Big data is good. It provides robust evidence as long as it's analysed effectively. And I hope that you will be able to join HARMONY if at all. If you have data, please do come forward and share your data. If not, I hope you will follow the exciting progress that HARMONY will be making over the next few years. Thank you very much.